Have you ever felt the quiet pull of the universe urging you to let go, yet you clung to something or someone that no longer serves you? There's a unique kind of pain in holding on to a relationship where effort feels one-sided, where your value seems hidden beneath the fog of indifference. But what if the key to everything you've been searching for isn't in chasing, pleading, or proving, but in fading away? Not into obscurity, but into freedom. What if your absence could speak louder than your presence ever could? This is not a surrender. It's a powerful act of reclaiming your worth. You're not broken, you're rising. As Rumi said, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. In relationships, it's easy to resist the urge to let go, to fight against the tides of silence and indifference. But freedom begins the moment you choose to step back and let them feel the void of your absence. It's a paradox. By fading away, you ignite a longing in their heart, a desperate need to seek what they've taken for granted. And in the process, you reclaim something even more valuable than their attention: your peace. Imagine a star in the night sky. It shines brilliantly, captivating those who look up to admire its light. But over time, if someone stops noticing its glow, the star doesn't chase their gaze. Instead, it continues to burn steady and strong, knowing its brilliance doesn't depend on being seen. You are that star. Your light doesn't fade because someone else fails to notice it. And when you step away, when you let your silence replace their indifference, they're forced to look up and confront the emptiness they feel in your absence. Relationships often feel like a delicate dance, a balance of giving and receiving. Yet, when one person stops meeting you halfway, the steps become exhausting, leaving you spinning in circles. Enough is enough. Take your power back. Fading away isn't about bitterness or manipulation. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to beg for what should be freely given. It's about understanding that love, respect, and effort are not things you should have to pull out of someone. They should flow naturally, mutually. When they don't, it's time to stop dancing to their tune and step into the rhythm of your own life. Think of a garden flourishing in the sunlight. Each plant grows because it's nurtured, watered, and cared for. But what happens when the gardener stops tending to it? The flowers don't wilt out of spite. They adapt. Their roots dig deeper, finding sustenance elsewhere. And soon they bloom with an independence that makes them even more radiant. You are that garden. When someone stops nurturing the connection, don't wither waiting for their attention. Instead, turn your focus inward on the parts of you that thrive in solitude and watch how your growth becomes undeniable. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Fading away is not about disappearing. It's about choosing freedom over stagnation. It's about letting them face the echoes of their own neglect while you build a life so magnetic that they can't help but notice. Your silence will echo louder than their words ever could, and in that silence, they'll be forced to reckon with what they've lost. A presence that was once a source of warmth and light, now beyond their grasp. Look in the mirror. That's your biggest ally. The love you've been chasing starts with the person staring back at you. When you stop seeking validation from someone else, you uncover a strength within that transforms you. Your heart knows its worth. Listen to it. Every tear, every moment of doubt has prepared you for this chapter. A chapter where you no longer need someone else's acknowledgement to feel complete. You don't need them to be whole. You are enough, just as you are. Picture a phoenix rising from the ashes. It doesn't mourn the fire that consumed it. It uses the flames to ignite its rebirth. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and this is your chance to burn brighter than ever before. By fading away, you create space for them to feel the gravity of your absence. It's not about teaching them a lesson. It's about choosing yourself, about letting your transformation speak louder than any words ever could. They underestimated you. Now prove them wrong, not out of spite, but from a place of undeniable self-worth. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. By stepping back, you reclaim the narrative, turning a chapter of pain into one of power. Their indifference is not the end of the road. It's the moment you take a new path, one where you're no longer waiting for their effort. Let the hurt fuel your growth, the silence sharpen your focus, and the emptiness inspire you to create a life so full that their absence becomes irrelevant. Feel the pain, but don't live there. This is your moment to reclaim everything. You're not a victim, you're the hero of this story. Every setback was a setup for this moment, for you to rise, thrive, and become a version of yourself that even you didn't know was possible. Pain is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Stop waiting. The time is now. Your future is watching. What will it see? Will it see someone held back by unreciprocated effort, or someone who chose freedom and transformed their life? They left. Good. Now, build without limits. Let your silence be a mirror reflecting the depth of what they've lost, and when they finally seek what they let slip away, they'll find someone so radiant, so whole, that they'll have to earn their place beside you again. This is your time to thrive, to reclaim, to shine. The power of affirmation lies in its ability to reshape your thoughts and awaken your inner strength, turning every doubt into a step toward freedom and self-worth. Here is my affirmation. My silence is my strength, and my freedom is my power. Write this affirmation in the comments to claim your strength and remind yourself of the unstoppable force within you. If this message touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're pouring our passion into creating content that inspires and uplifts you. Your support means everything to us. Number 1. The penny drops in your absence. Have you ever noticed how clarity often comes in the moments when someone least expects it? Like a coin tumbling down a deep well, the realization of what's been lost often echoes louder in the silence of absence. When you choose to fade away, to stop chasing, explaining, or pleading, it's like stepping out of a crowded room into the stillness of the night. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. They begin to hear what was drowned out by their own noise. They feel the weight of what they've taken for granted, and the penny finally drops. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you pull back, you're giving them space to reflect, to see your worth without the distractions of their indifference. Absence isn't weakness. It's a profound statement that says, I know my value, and I refuse to beg for what should be freely given. It's a silent invitation for them to wake up and confront what they've let slip away. Imagine this. A pendulum swings steadily, its rhythm constant and dependable. Now imagine it stops. At first, the stillness seems strange, almost unsettling, but soon the absence of its movement becomes impossible to ignore, and the mind can't help but return to it, wondering what changed. You are that pendulum. When you remove yourself from the dynamic of always initiating, always giving, your absence becomes the shift they didn't see coming. It forces them to confront the void you leave behind and question why they feel its weight. Relationships thrive on balance, but when one person continually carries the weight of connection, it creates a strain that no amount of effort can fix. By stepping back, you're not abandoning the relationship. you're inviting them to step up. It's not about playing games or seeking revenge. It's about creating a space where they can fully grasp what it feels like without your presence. And in that space, they'll come to understand the gravity of your worth. Think of a painter staring at a canvas, their brush poised yet unmoving. The blank space before them is full of potential, but it's only in stepping back that they can see the whole picture and decide how to proceed. Your absence is that space, an opportunity for them to truly see what you bring to their life. They walked away, but now, as they look back at the canvas, they realize it's incomplete without your vibrant colors. You're not broken, you're rising. This isn't about diminishing yourself to make a point. It's about elevating your life to a place where their attention, or lack thereof, no longer dictates your happiness. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and your light doesn't need their approval to shine. The beauty of fading away is that it allows you to reclaim your power while gently nudging them toward their own moment of reckoning. The penny drops, and they're left to grapple with the truth. They had something extraordinary, and now they're at risk of losing it for good. Your silence will echo louder than their words. In the space where your voice once called, they'll feel the depth of what they've ignored, and as they seek to understand the shift, they'll come face to face with the realization that your worth was never tied to their recognition. It always existed, independent and undeniable. They don't define you. You do. This is your moment to reclaim everything. The love you've been pouring outward now flows back into you, fueling your growth and resilience. Every setback was a setup for this moment. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. When they finally see the light, they'll realize that while they were stagnant, you've been rising, creating a life so full and vibrant that they'll have to work hard to earn a place in it again. Say this affirmation with me. My absence speaks my worth, and my freedom is my power. Write it in the comments as a declaration of your strength and independence. Let it be the mantra that carries you forward as you create a life they can't ignore. If this message touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. We're working tirelessly to bring you lessons that inspire and transform, helping you step into the freedom and power you've always deserved. Your support means everything, and together we'll continue this journey toward a life of strength and self-love. Number 2, the ball's in their court. Have you ever wondered what happens when you stop chasing? When you decide to step away, let go of the tug of war, and simply place the ball in their court? It's a moment of quiet power, a shift that's both subtle and seismic. Suddenly, it's no longer about what you've done to hold the connection together, but about what they're willing to do to keep it alive. It's not a test. It's a truth that reveals everything. This isn't about giving up. It's about standing tall, knowing your worth, and letting them see the empty space where your effort used to be. The ball's in their court now, and you're no longer running to fetch it. As the great Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Relationships are about balance, about two people meeting each other halfway. But when one person stops trying, it's not your job to close the gap. It's your moment to recognize that love can't be one-sided, and respect can't be begged for. By stepping back, by letting go of the relentless pursuit, you give them the opportunity to step up or let go. And either way, you win because you've chosen yourself. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a tranquil lake. Every time you throw a pebble, ripples spread outward, breaking the stillness. But what happens when you stop throwing? The water becomes calm again, and the ripples fade. That's what happens when you stop chasing their attention. The chaos settles, and they're left with the quiet realization of what they've lost. It's in the stillness of your absence that they begin to feel the weight of your presence. You're not playing games. You're setting boundaries. You're telling them, without words, that you refuse to be the only one trying. Relationships aren't about desperation or proving your worth through endless effort. They're about mutual respect and shared energy. When you stop chasing, you show them what life looks like without your love lighting their path. And if they care, if they truly value you, they'll pick up the ball and make their move. If not, then they were never ready to hold what you had to offer. Imagine a garden that thrives when both people tend to it, planting seeds of love, watering it with effort, and nurturing it with care. But if one person stops, the garden doesn't die. It adapts. The flowers lean toward the sun, growing stronger in their independence. You are that garden. You've stopped waiting for someone to water the relationship, and now your beauty blooms because you found your strength in yourself. Let them see the garden they neglected, the vibrant colors they no longer get to enjoy. It's not weakness to let go. In fact, it's the ultimate act of strength. You're not a victim of their indifference. You're the hero of your own story. They underestimated you, thinking you'd keep chasing, keep trying to fix what they refuse to hold. But here you are, rising higher than their expectations, showing them what it means to be free. The ball's in their court, but you're no longer waiting for their next move. You've already begun creating the life you deserve. This is your moment to reclaim everything. Feel the pain of stepping back, but don't live there. Let it fuel your transformation. Let it sharpen your focus on what truly matters. Your happiness, your growth, your peace. Your silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's a statement that says, I will not beg for the love I deserve. And in that silence, they'll hear everything they've been ignoring. You've cried enough. Now it's time to conquer. Stop wondering if they'll call, if they'll text, if they'll reach out. That's no longer your concern. You've left the ball in their court, and it's up to them to decide if they'll play. You're already on to the next chapter, building a life so magnetic that their absence becomes irrelevant. The love you've been searching for starts with you. And as you find it within, you become the person they can't help but seek. Stand tall, look in the mirror, and remember this: your worth doesn't depend on their effort. You're not broken. You're rising. You're not waiting. You're thriving. This is your moment to turn every tear into a step forward, every doubt into a declaration of strength. Let them see what they've lost, not because you've begged, but because you've built something they can only dream of. Say this affirmation with me: the ball's in their court, and my freedom is my power. Write it in the comments to claim your strength and remind yourself of the unstoppable force you are. If this message resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to create life-changing lessons that inspire, empower, and help you reclaim the life you deserve. Your support means everything. This is your story. Make it extraordinary. Number 3, the grass is greener where you water it. Have you ever noticed how we often water the wrong garden, hoping it will bloom? We pour our time, effort, and love into someone who barely notices, expecting them to grow into the partner we deserve. But here's the truth. No matter how much you water a barren field, it won't yield flowers. The grass isn't greener on the other side, nor is it greener where you beg for someone's attention. The grass is greener where you water it, on the soil of your self-worth, your growth, and your freedom. When you tend to yourself, you create a garden so vibrant, so full of life, that others can't help but want to be part of it. As Maya Angelou once said, "You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody." In relationships, we often forget this, pouring all our energy into someone else's happiness while leaving our own roots to wither. It's time to reclaim that energy, to pour it into your own garden, and to let your growth speak louder than any words ever could. When you stop chasing the love you deserve and start cultivating it within yourself, you transform into something magnetic, someone they can't ignore. Picture this, a river flowing through a desert. It doesn't beg the sand to blossom. It flows with purpose, carving its own path. That river is you. When you stop waiting for someone to value your presence and begin valuing yourself, you become unstoppable. Your energy no longer drains into ungrateful soil. It nourishes your own dreams, passions, and strength. And as your life begins to bloom, their eyes will turn, drawn by the beauty of what they once overlooked. In relationships, we often play the gardener to someone else's field, tending to their needs and desires while forgetting our own. But here's the truth. You deserve someone who meets you halfway, who waters the connection as much as you do. And if they don't, step back. Turn your energy inward. You're not broken. You're rising. The love you've been chasing starts with you. Stop waiting for them to notice your worth. Show it to yourself. And as you grow, as you thrive, they'll feel the shift. They'll realize the grass was greener where you stood all along. Think of a neglected garden. At first glance, it might seem lifeless, but the potential is always there. With care, attention, and the right energy, it can transform into a paradise. That garden is your heart. If someone has left it untended, don't let it wilt. Water it yourself. Plant the seeds of self-love and self-respect, and watch as your inner world blooms into something breathtaking. The garden you cultivate within yourself will draw them in, not because you begged for their attention, but because they'll see the radiance of a soul that knows its worth. When you focus on your own growth, something incredible happens. The pain of their indifference fades, replaced by the power of your own transformation. They walked away. Good. Now build without limits. Create a life so full, so rich, that their absence becomes irrelevant. And when they look back, when they see the vibrant garden you've nurtured, they'll understand what they lost. They underestimated you. Now prove them wrong. This is your moment to reclaim everything. Stop watering the wrong soil. Start cultivating your own. Your silence, your strength, and your resilience will speak volumes, louder than their neglect ever could. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and you're about to shine in a way they can't ignore. Let the hurt fuel your growth. Let the pain turn into your power. They don't define you. You do. Feel the pain, but don't live there. You're not a victim. You're the hero of this story. Every setback, every tear was a setup for this moment, for you to rise and thrive. Stop waiting for permission to be amazing. The love you seek starts with you. By nurturing your own garden, you don't just survive, you thrive. And when they finally seek what they lost, they'll find someone stronger, more radiant, and more unshakable than ever before. Say this affirmation with me. I water my own garden, and it blooms with freedom and strength. Write it in the comments to claim your power and remind yourself that your worth starts within you. If this message touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are working tirelessly to create content that inspires, empowers, and helps you build the life you deserve. Your support means everything to us. Thank you for being part of this journey. Number 4, a ship that sails without waiting for the tide. Have you ever watched a ship waiting idly by the shore, anchored to the whims of the tide, unable to move until the water grants its permission? How often do we find ourselves like that ship, tethered to someone else's indifference, waiting for them to decide our worth? But what if you were the kind of ship that didn't wait for the tide? What if you set your sails and charted your own course, leaving behind the stagnant waters of their hesitation? This is your moment to become that ship, bold, unyielding, and free to roam the vast ocean of your own potential. As the philosopher Seneca once said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In relationships, we often anchor ourselves to someone who doesn't value the journey we offer. We wait for their affection, their attention, their effort, as if they hold the key to our happiness. But the truth is, the tide of their emotions doesn't control you. You don't need their permission to move forward. When you stop waiting for them to act, you reclaim the power to set your own direction. You're not a victim of their inaction. You're the captain of your own destiny. Picture this. A ship docked in a quiet harbor, its sails furled, its crew growing restless. The tide refuses to shift, and the captain faces a choice: wait indefinitely or steer into the unknown. That ship is you, and the captain is your inner strength. When someone you care about refuses to meet you halfway, it's tempting to remain anchored, hoping they'll come around. But the longer you wait, the more your own dreams, passions, and joy remain stalled. True freedom comes when you decide to leave the harbor, letting the wind of your own purpose propel you forward. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing yourself. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, but when one side becomes passive, it's not your job to shoulder the entire weight. Enough is enough. Take your power back. You are not a shipwreck waiting for rescue. You are a vessel of immense strength, built to withstand storms and chart unexplored waters. By fading away from the shore they left you stranded on, you create the opportunity for them to see what they've lost. A presence so steady, so full of life, that its absence is impossible to ignore. Imagine the open sea, vast and limitless, offering endless possibilities. When you decide to set sail without waiting for their tide, you begin to discover the beauty of the world beyond the shores. Every wave you ride becomes a testament to your resilience. Every horizon you chase, a symbol of your freedom. And here's the paradox. The further you sail, the more they'll feel the pull of what they've let slip away. Your journey becomes their realization. Your independence becomes their longing. You've waited long enough. Now is the time to trust the strength of your sails and the clarity of your compass. Let the love you've been pouring into the flow back into yourself. Focus on building a life so vibrant and full that their absence feels like nothing more than a ripple in your vast ocean. They underestimated you. Now show them the force of a soul unshackled by their neglect. This isn't about bitterness or revenge. It's about showing them, and yourself, that your value was never dependent on their recognition. When you set sail, you're not running away. You're rising above. You're stepping into a new chapter where your worth is not defined by their attention, but by your own courage and determination. The strongest ships are not the ones that wait for calm waters. They're the ones that navigate the fiercest storms. You are that ship. Your heart knows its worth. Listen to it. You don't need their tide. You've always had the wind. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Turn it into the fuel that propels you forward. Each wave you conquer is proof of your strength. Each mile you travel, a testament to your independence. This is your moment to reclaim everything. Stop waiting. The time is now. Let your journey be so extraordinary that when they finally realize what they've lost, you'll be far ahead, thriving in the vast ocean of your freedom. Here is your affirmation. I am the captain of my soul, sailing toward freedom. Write this in the comments as your declaration of independence and power. If this message resonates with you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're dedicated to creating life-changing lessons that inspire and empower you. Your support fuels our mission to help you rise above and shine. This is your story. Set your course and let the journey begin. Number 5. The canary sings louder in its freedom. Have you ever noticed how a bird sings louder when it's no longer confined? Its song, once muffled by bars, now soars freely into the sky, reaching heights that were once unimaginable. In relationships, the same truth applies. When you release yourself from the confines of chasing, pleading, or waiting for someone to reciprocate your effort, your voice, the essence of your being, finds its strength. The canary sings louder in its freedom is not just a metaphor. It's the anthem of a soul that has rediscovered its worth by letting go of what weighs it down. As the great Maya Angelou once said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." When someone stops investing in you, it's tempting to lower your voice, to dim your light in hopes that they'll notice. But true freedom comes when you realize that your song is not for them to define. It's yours to sing boldly and unapologetically. Letting go is not about giving up. It's about creating space for the things and the people that truly deserve your energy. Imagine a canary in a gilded cage. The cage is beautiful, but it's still a prison, holding back its voice and its potential. When the door swings open, the bird doesn't cling to the bars. It flies, filling the sky with its song. In relationships, the cage is often our own fear. Fear of being alone, of not being enough, of losing someone who doesn't value us. But here's the truth. The cage isn't what defines the canary's beauty. Its song does. And when you break free, your voice becomes a beacon of your strength, a melody they can't ignore. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of self-respect. It's telling the world, I know my worth, and I refuse to settle for less. Relationships are about balance, mutual effort, and shared growth. When one person consistently withholds, it's not your job to keep giving until you're empty. Instead, step back. Give yourself the freedom to heal, to grow, and to rediscover the parts of you that were overshadowed by their indifference. This isn't about teaching them a lesson. It's about proving to yourself that you deserve more. Think of a sunflower turning toward the sun. It doesn't chase the shadow of the one who turned away. Instead, it seeks the light, growing taller and more radiant with each passing day. You are that sunflower. When you stop chasing someone's affection, you give yourself the chance to thrive in your own light. And the more you grow, the more magnetic you become. Not because you're begging for their attention, but because your radiance is impossible to ignore. Your silence is not emptiness. It's a symphony of strength. By stepping back, you allow them to feel the weight of your absence. The melody they once took for granted now echoes in the space you've left behind. It's in this silence that they'll hear the loudest truth. You were never the problem. Their inability to see your value was. And when they finally seek what they've lost, they'll find that the canary has flown to greater heights, singing a song of independence and joy. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. You're not a victim of their neglect. You're the hero of your story, rewriting the script with every step you take toward freedom. Your heart knows its worth. Listen to it. The pain of letting go is temporary, but the regret of staying in a space where you're not valued lasts forever. This is your moment to rise, to reclaim everything they overlooked, and to become the person you were always meant to be. As you spread your wings and let your voice soar, remember this affirmation: my freedom is my power, and my song is unstoppable. Write it in the comments below to declare your strength and remind yourself that your worth is not tied to anyone's acknowledgement. If this message has touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to create content that uplifts, empowers, and inspires you to live your best life. Your support means everything to us. This is your time to fly, sing louder, shine brighter, and show the world the power of your freedom. Number 6. The breadcrumbs lead them back. Have you ever noticed how the smallest things, a familiar scent, a fleeting memory, a moment of silence, can stir something deep within, something they thought they'd forgotten? The trail you leave behind, the essence of who you are, doesn't disappear when you step away. Instead, it lingers like breadcrumbs, leading them back to what they've lost. When you fade away with dignity, without anger or desperation, you leave behind a quiet, undeniable presence they can't ignore, and that presence becomes the guide for their realization. A realization that you were the anchor they underestimated, the light they took for granted. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your absence, your choice to step back, isn't a void, it's a pathway. When you stop chasing, you allow them to confront the emptiness their neglect has created. Every unanswered text, every unspoken word becomes a breadcrumb, a subtle reminder of what they once had and what they now long to find again. Picture a forest path lit by moonlight. The trail isn't marked by grand gestures or bright lights. It's marked by small, simple signs: a bent branch, a rustle in the leaves, the faint glow of the moon. These subtle cues guide the lost traveler back to safety. You are that path. Your quiet strength, your graceful withdrawal, is the light they didn't notice while distracted, but now can't ignore. In your absence, the breadcrumbs you leave behind aren't acts of manipulation. They're the echoes of your authenticity, proof of the love and effort you gave freely. Relationships often fall into an imbalance, where one person gives endlessly while the other barely notices. But enough is enough. Take your power back. Fading away isn't about punishing them. It's about valuing yourself enough to stop fighting for someone who isn't meeting you halfway. And yet, in your quiet retreat, you leave behind something they can't forget: the memory of your warmth, the depth of your care, the brilliance of your presence. These are the breadcrumbs that lead them to their reckoning, a realization that your love was a gift, not a guarantee. Imagine a bird taking flight from a tree branch. The branch remains still, unshaken, yet the bird feels its absence. They don't realize how much the branch grounded them until it's no longer there. You are that branch. When you choose freedom over pursuit, when you let go of what weighs you down, you give them the opportunity to miss your grounding presence. And when they feel the weight of your absence, they'll begin to see the irreplaceable strength and value you brought to their life. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It allows them to sit with the emptiness, to feel the gravity of your absence. And in that space, they're forced to confront their own shortcomings, to see the cracks in the foundation they thought was secure. You're not walking away to hurt them, you're stepping back to heal yourself. The breadcrumbs you leave behind, the kindness, the memories, the quiet power of your departure, Become the map they'll follow back to you if they're willing to grow and meet you where you deserve to be. Look in the mirror. That's your greatest ally. The love you've been chasing starts within. Every step you take toward reclaiming your power leaves a mark, a sign that you were here, that you mattered. And as they follow those signs, as they piece together what they've lost, they'll see not just what they took for granted, but what they must rise to deserve again. This isn't about revenge or control. It's about choosing yourself and letting your strength guide them to their own awakening. When they return, it won't be because you begged or pleaded. It will be because your silence spoke louder than words, because your quiet strength reminded them of what they truly needed. And if they don't return, you'll still stand tall, unshaken, having built a life so full that their absence feels like a mere shadow against your light. This is your moment to rise above the pain, to turn your hurt into power, and to let your story unfold as one of triumph. Say this with me. My silence is my strength, and my presence is unforgettable. Write this affirmation in the comments to claim your power and let it anchor you in the truth of your worth. If this message touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're dedicated to creating content that empowers, uplifts, and helps you find the freedom and strength you deserve. Your support fuels this mission, and together, we're building a community of resilience and self-love. Number 7. The stone they kicked turns to gold. Have you ever noticed how the things we undervalue often become the ones we regret losing the most? Sometimes it takes stepping away, letting go, and reclaiming your freedom for someone to truly see the treasure they once dismissed. The stone they carelessly kicked down the road, thinking it held no worth, transforms into gold before their eyes. It's not magic. It's the undeniable power of self-worth, resilience, and quiet strength. And here's the truth. You've always been gold. They just couldn't see it until you chose to shine without them. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In relationships, it's easy to believe that someone else's neglect or indifference defines your value. But their inability to see your worth says more about them than it ever will about you. When you step back and stop trying to prove your value, you give yourself the space to grow, to thrive, and to become a version of yourself that's radiant and unshakable. And when that happens, their perspective shifts. Not because you begged for their recognition, but because your transformation becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine a diamond lying unnoticed in the dirt. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another stone, ordinary and unremarkable. But when it's picked up, cleaned and polished, its brilliance becomes undeniable. The same is true for you. When someone takes you for granted, it's not your job to convince them of your worth. Your value doesn't decrease because they failed to see it. Instead, you polish yourself, not for them, but for you. And in doing so, you become the rare, dazzling presence they can't forget. Relationships often feel like balancing acts, where one person's indifference can make you question your worth. But remember this, you're not just a piece on someone else's chessboard, you're the game changer. When they walked away thinking you'd crumble, you stayed standing. You don't need to beg for their validation, and you don't need to fight for their attention. By fading away, you let their silence speak louder than your words ever could. And in that silence, they begin to realize just how much they've lost. Think of a garden left untended. At first glance, it may seem abandoned, overrun with weeds and wildflowers. But as the days pass, those wildflowers bloom into something breathtaking, something far more beautiful than anyone could have imagined. That garden is you. When they stopped watering the relationship, they thought it would wither. But instead, you grew stronger, more vibrant, and more alive than ever before. And when they look back, they'll see a garden so radiant, they'll wish they hadn't walked away. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Let the hurt they left behind become the fuel for your growth. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and the life you're building now is a testament to your resilience. Every tear was a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. And now you stand here, more powerful than they ever thought you could be. This is your moment to rise, to prove to yourself, not to them, that you were always enough. Your silence will echo louder than their words, a constant reminder of the value they failed to see. It's not about revenge or making them suffer. It's about reclaiming your power, stepping into your own light, and showing the world what happens when you choose yourself. They underestimated you. Now prove them wrong, not with anger, but with the unstoppable force of your transformation.